This is Mrs. Jacobs. I will be working with GOMath Grade 4, Chapter 2, Lesson 2.3. Teaching point. I can multiply by tens, hundreds, and thousands using basic facts and patterns. And this is for standard 4.NBT.5. Multiply by tens, hundreds, and thousands. You can use a pattern to multiply with tens, hundreds, and thousands. By using this strategy, count the number of zeros in the factors. And let's just remember the factors are, in this case, 4. The factors are 4 and 6. And using 4 and 6, we notice that that is a basic fact. And this basic fact can help us to extend and multiply by tens, hundreds, and thousands. So I know 4 times 6 equals 24. So if I notice here, I have 4 times 60. And using the basic fact and the pattern strategy, you can identify that 4 times 6 is 24. Then, when you multiply by a 10, or a multiple of 10, the last digit is a 0. So since we have 1 0, we can carry it over, and now our product is 240. Again, extending it even further, we see again 4 times 6 is 24. That doesn't change. What will change is the number of zeros that will be in your product. So since I'm looking at the two factors, 4 and 600, 600 has 2 zeros. So we're going to take those 2 zeros, and they come at the end to make the product of 2,400. Then we're moving to the thousands. Again, the basic fact is 4 times 6 is 24. Then we notice that there's only 3 zeros, and that being because this number is in the thousands. We will take those 3 zeros again and bring them over to the end of our product, which now makes it 24,000. When the basic fact has a 0 in the product, there will be an extra 0 in the final product. And we will talk about this a little further. Okay, but 5 times 4 equals 20. So that 20 already has a 0 in it, so we have to be very careful. So 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 4 is 20. But then I noticed that the 4,000 has 3 zeros, so we have to bring another 3 zeros at the end of the product to make 20,000. Okay, so this is what I was talking about with the basic fact with a 0. We have the basic fact, 6 times 5 is 30. So this is very important. I have to be very careful with my zeros. Again, one good strategy is to write the basic fact down first, then add the zeros. So watch me. 6 times 5, I write 30. Then I notice, looking at both factors, looking at the 6 and looking at the 50, there's only 1 0. So I take that 0 on over to the end of my product, and 6 times 50 is 300. Again, I'm going to use that same strategy. 6 times 5 is 30. Then I notice the 2 zeros, because we're multiplying by the hundreds. I have to add 2 zeros on to the end, which now makes 1's, 10's, 100's, 1000's, which makes 3,000. Then 6 times 5 again is 30. And I notice that there's 3 zeros in total. So I'm going to take those 3 zeros on over. 1, 2, 3 makes 30,000. Also looking at these and remembering the lesson 10 times as many, okay? So you will see that we go from 30 to 300 to 3,000 to 30,000. It gets 10 times greater, okay? All right, so I'm going to complete the pattern for numbers 1 and 2. Then you will do numbers 3 and 4 in your notebook. Okay, so again, the basic fact is 9 times 2 equals 18. So I'm expecting this 18 to appear in the beginning of every product. 9 times 2, 18. 1 0, 1 0. 9 times 20 equals 180. 9 times 2, again, is 18, but now I see 2 zeros. That makes 1,800. 9 times 2, again, is 18, but this time I see there's 3 zeros, so 1, 2, 3 zeros makes it 18,000. Okay, looking again at number 2, 8 times 4 equals 32 is our basic fact. Eight times 4 is 32, 1 0. 8 times 4 is 32, now 2 zeros. 8 times 4 is 32, and this time 3 zeros. Okay? Please make sure you're putting your commas where they belong. Okay? It's 32,000. So this is how we can use basic facts and pattern, the pattern of zeros, to help us multiply by 10's, 100's, and 1000's. Now it's your turn. Please copy numbers 3 and 4 into your notebook and solve. Remember, you can pause this video at any time and rewind if need be. So we're going to lift it a little bit and talk about that word algebra. And we did before in class talk about that. We talked about a variable. A variable is the letter. So in this case, we have the letter B, the letter N, and the letter W. All stand for an unknown value, which we have to solve for. So in the first one, we have 6 times B equals 240. Okay, so I do know that I see a basic fact using the 6 times tables. So 6 times what will give me 24. So I'm going to write my basic fact. 6 times 4 equals 24. So I know that my answer, what B represents, has to start with a 4. Okay? So I'm going to extend and do 6 times 40 and see what happens with that. So 6 times 4 is 24, and 1 0 is 240. So now I know that my missing factor is 40. So B equals 40. Okay, on the next one, we have n times 3,000 equals 9,000. So basically, I'm asking myself, what number times 3,000 will be equal to 9,000? Okay, so I'm thinking of a basic fact that I know in the 3 times tables. And I know that 3 times 3 equals 9. Right? So, if n equals 3, I have to go see if that n equals 3. How I check my answer is I replace the n with the number 3. And I check to see it I check to make sure that it is truly equal, right? So 3 times 3 is 9. And then I have 3 zeros, 3 zeros. So yes, n equals 3 is correct. Now on the last one, I'm working with 8 times w equals 56. Well, again, the basic fact would be 8 times what number will give me 56, because that's a great way to start. And I know 8 times 7 equals 56. So then I'm going to extend, now doing by the 10's, the 100's, and the 1000's. So 8 times 70 equals 560. 8 times 700 equals 5,600. So I know that I need to go further because I'm trying to get up to 56,000. So I'm going to try one more. 8 times 7,000 this time. And I get 56,000. So W equals 7,000. All right, so our essential question, I would like you to copy this and answer it into your notebook. How does understanding place value help you multiply 10, 100's, and 1000's? And you may also include the strategy we learned here today. Thank you, and I hope that you can now multiply by 10's, 100's, and 1000's. See you tomorrow in class.